Yeah, I want to give you some more common sense things on regarding the QE, quantitative easing, and what Bernanke says, because there's a little bit more to actually the repercussions of the way he acted here recently than you think. Because, well, first off, I know I'm listening to what Mark Farber said too, but I know he says they're going to go to QE infinity and all this stuff till the stuff blows up. I know that's going to happen, but this is something else. It's another interesting angle, is that since Bernanke talked about backing off the gas, predicated upon the economy being much more robust by the end of the year or in 2014 when he thinks it'll be better. He's not going to be around in 2014. But since he talked about that, see, it's sending a mixed message to the markets. A lot of times, what a lot of people are starting to think is, or what the markets are thinking is, they want QE on, no backing off the gas until, irregardless of inflation or whatever, until the economy actually is back on track. Because by him backing off the gas now, it's almost like they don't know what the hell. It's like, should we get in there? You see, a lot of the economy is actually, I know it's reality and it's like really what it is, but I mean, it's also psychology. It's almost like the biggest ventures get undertaken when people are like very confident. So the confidence factor isn't there, because anytime anybody business moves into something or buys capital, there's a risk. But right now, everybody's averting risks. They're like scared. They're afraid to grow. Like skyscrapers, that was a good example. Skyscrapers came about, basically, they get built during depressions because they got planned during the boom, and by the time they actually get going, the boom cycle has changed. But him, like with doing this with QE, this is a really interesting angle, that he basically has sent such a mixed message to the markets. It's almost like he's going to have to really push QE really hard, extra hard, to get things going again. It's almost like, I don't know if this is a poor example, but it's almost like if you had a situation and you were going to use force in a situation, and you decided, I'm not going to use force. That person gets more brave, right? And then you decide, so you have to use twice as much force to stop that, right? But that's almost like the same situation with the QE. I guess that's not a perfect example, but now that he backed off QE, every investor in the world is going to be wondering, is he going to back off QE, even if he puts it back on? Which makes them hesitate investing and getting in more areas. Like, they're afraid to, they're not afraid to jump in. They're holding out back on the sidelines. So, he's going to actually push a lot more QE than he did before. Now he's going to really have to push it. I don't know how fast it's going to come about, but, and the other thing is with central banks, it's like a freaking aircraft carrier. Don't turn on a dime. And here's the problem too with the central banks, is like they try to stimulate the economy, and people are scared. They're fearful, so they're holding back the money. It's not just the people, it's the banks, it's the big companies. They're hoarding cash, and they keep trying to stimulate the economy, and they're hoarding more and more cash because they're still scared. And all of a sudden things are looking okay. That's when all that money comes out from behind the dam, and it's like they just can't change it. It's almost like, it's another example of like extremes like that. It's almost like keep dropping the price of silver, and pretty soon, the mines are going to shut down. Nobody's going to actually, it's like the current operations are going to start slowing down a lot, but not only that, nobody's going to be looking for new mines. And then when the demand goes up, it's going to go right through the roof. I know like a lot of my comments about QE are related to the metals, but something else, Mark Farber's also contrarian right now that gold is looking so slammed and equities are looking so good. If you're a contrarian, you should be looking at gold and silver. But, I'm going to say something else about this. I've seen other predictions where people are swearing up and down it's easily going to go to 12, 15, 8. Then, well, actually, a lot of people are flip-flopping their positions left and right, interacting like they know what's going on. I'm going to say this about people say what they know what's going on and they give it out as public information. I'm not putting out like, I realize that silver has two big major freaking support lines around 18, 19, and also 21 and 22. That pretty much everybody knows. It's not going to be easy to get it below that. That is common sense. But, these people that say like they know, like they predicted the price of silver this way and that way, more than likely they got pretty lucky. Because, you're gonna be right 50 times. The clock is right twice a day. That kind of garbage. You're gonna be right once in a while. But the other thing is, I want to say this: if you understood one commodity, you'd be like filthy rich. You'd be a multi-billionaire in no time. But if you understood the markets in general, like how fast, what they're gonna do, and with good accuracy, not only would you be the multi-billionaire, you would own the earth. You would own the earth inside of a year. Mathematically, it's ridiculous how fast things can change. And it's almost like, why is the wealthy buying gold right now? Well, they got a lot of money. They didn't get a lot of money by doing stupid things. It's like if you lose 10% of your money and you got $10 million, you lost $1 million. If you gain 10%, you just gained $1 million. That's what they do. Jim Rogers wasn't always a wealthy man. No, not at all. But I know he doesn't tell you every damn thing he does. Neither was none of them, really. A lot of them weren't. They made their wealth. So, people, and actually you got to remember, they made their wealth because the majority got it wrong. A lot of times the majority's scared. They're scared to jump in, So, do whatever you want. But I would advise anybody with silver and gold right now, you don't have to keep adding. It's not like the only investment out there. It's like you don't have to just, every time it dips, add some more. Actually, a person that does that is probably going to be a person that's going to be scared to sell it later on. That's what I think. They're going to be too scared to sell it later on. Where the price is going to go, actually in real dollars, if you looked at the height of, I think it was in the end of 79 or early 80 when it was about almost $50, it was like $48. If you used inflation adjusted for by the government numbers, that would be $135 today. And if you used other numbers like Shadow Stats numbers, it would be like $400 something. Now, what I think is Ben Bernanke. I know Mark Faber says Ben Bernanke could say anything. I know Ben Bernanke was talking up about backing off QE because basically he ain't going to be at the helm anyway. He's gone. He knows that shit. He's not stupid. He's just playing a game there. I know he's slick and all his guard, but you know what? They're all slick, okay? But by him doing this, where he's like talking about backing off QE, I know he didn't expect the markets to tumble like this. It's almost like it reminds me of the H.G. Wells Martian invasion presentation. They didn't expect the public to freaking jump off of roofs over this freaking skit they did on the radio. And basically, I don't think Ben Bernanke thought the markets would react the way they did so severely to his words. So now, what's going to really be required is even more QE than was before. Because now the market's going to have to get the message that QE is going to go on forever till things are fixed one way or the other. So that's a very, very, very important point. So, and just not to berate the issue too much, but just the fact that he said this, I don't know if it's going to happen like next week, but it's just the fact that he said this stuff about backing off QE. He basically jinxed all the work that freaking that the Fed did with QE. He basically jinxed it. So they're going to really have to pour on the QE, and they're going to have to give a clear message to the markets they're not backing off. So figure it out, man. Figure it out.